When it comes to eye contact, again, there are all sorts of other cues that happen with eye contact. Generally speaking, indirect eye contact is also associated with head turned forward, shoulders turned forward, probably your body's also turned forward, and so it's a forward cue. Direct eye contact, where you're looking at your dog right in the face, is going to preclude them from doing much of anything except looking at you in the face, and so it tends to be a collection cue or a stopping cue, and also you're probably turning to do it, and so all of those other cues are telling the dog to turn. It's still worth mentioning, though, there are plenty of times nowadays on course where we take our eyes off our dogs completely, and if we don't, like a blind cross, if we don't work to reestablish contact pretty quickly, then they may get a little bit confused about what's about to happen. And now, when we do a bunch of blind crosses, a lot of dogs will interpret moving towards more indirect eye contact as a side change. So for example, if I'm running along and my dog is on my right and we're just running along and I'm cueing obstacles, if I look up and away to see where I'm going next and my dog is paying attention, they may interpret that to mean that next up is this, and so they'll cut behind me and do a blind. So you have to be aware of how your training affects your dog's, what your dog is looking at and what they're prioritizing. And again, if you look away at the wrong moment, they may think you're going to change arms and change sides, so you have to be careful about that, or you have to train them to ignore it in some way. I am always trying to maintain visual contact with my dog because it's pretty difficult for me to respond to changes in circumstance if I don't have my eye on my dog. But that's not the same as looking lovingly into their face in the middle of a course, which is going to keep them from really doing any obstacles. So eyes are one of the things that are definitely lower on a dog's list of priorities. They do seem to be aware of what we're looking at, even when we're moving pretty quickly. They do seem to be aware if we have an eye on them or not. And so it's definitely worth mentioning, and it's definitely worth being aware of what you may or may not be looking at as you're moving your dog around the course.